Hello, welcome to the Mystic and the Physicist. I am Deirdre Hade. I am the mystic, and this is my wonderful husband, Will, the physicist. And today we're going to be in conversation about the power of intention. What is intention from a mystical view or from a scientific view? Well, I'll start. From the mystical view, what happens when we have a power of intention is that we create something I call super thoughts. We've been talking a lot recently about thought and how to create a powerful thought so we can manifest. And a super thought is when we take our thoughts, which are random and going many different directions, you know how our minds are, and we bring them together like we're bringing drops of water into a channel to create a river. And when we do this in a group, when there's a group intention and every person has laser focused on an intention, then their thoughts, like drops of water, go into this channel. And these thoughts are then propelled by our divine will, so to speak, to manifest and create a healing, a reconciliation, a dream. And I've been working with super thoughts for a long time with many of my clients and over the years. And what I learned is that not every thought is equal. Some thoughts are more powerful than other thoughts. And when thoughts have an intention and a deep resonant passion, that's how you get a super thought. So that's what about you? Where does science fall into the intention? How does intention work according to science?
Well, science, it depends on the scientists you talk to.
Right.
There's really, people have gone down to the quantum world to see if there's anything, they call it the mind-matter interface. Mm-hmm. Is there an interface between the mind? Can it push matter around? Right. And there's two quantum things that seem to say yes. The one is a random event generator, mm-hmm. where basically you have a computer, in a sense, flipping a coin, coming up with a 1 or a 0 randomly, and they have people focused on that and say, okay, try to make more 1s than 0s or 0s than 1. Well, no one does 100% of the time, but if they can do it 51% of the time, make more 1s than 0s when they were focusing on, that's significant because according to all quantum theory, it should be exact. If you run enough, and they do, it should always be 50%. Now, one thing that many people have found interesting, men particularly find this interesting, is that when they did this, they found that women were much better at actually moving it than men were. However, there was also a high percentage of women that when they tried to make 1s made 0s, and when they tried to make 0s, they made 1s.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing. Moving right on, there's another thing in quantum theory about the observer effect. We're seeing the observer effect right here. The observer effect, and that is the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum physics, where the observer collapses the reality, and then therefore the observer, which is a conscious being, is part of the interaction and that cannot be removed. They've been debating that since when? The 20s, since they came up with it in Copenhagen. And they're still debating it. You'd think by now they would have come to the answer. It still is up in the air. So I think that's one we can say is the mystery. But those two things in quantum says, yes, the mind, the intention, can push around, at least at that level, physical matter. So that's kind of as far as they've gotten. Except for the studies they've done, people have done about healing, for instance. That's one where...
Right. Well, absolutely. And I know from my experience, I mean, we first met during a healing retreat, mm-hmm. Where I was teaching people how to work with energy, how to move energy with radiance healing. And what I found with working with thousands of people is that those who come with a strong feeling, like a passion of intention that I want to heal. I know there's a way to heal. That they together can move energy in the healing direction. Whereas if somebody comes and they're like, I'm really skeptical, I don't believe in this, I don't really know if I want to be here, it's much harder to move that energy. If an example would be like this, because everything is energy, even though you may not be able to see it. We are in this vat of energy. So let's say a person comes in and I believe, and with my heart, I want to be healed, and I know I can find a way. I'm open. So imagine that you're in a healing experience, and you've got an ocean or a lake of water, and this water is a powerful water, and the water needs to cleanse the mountainside and go down a river, but it hits a dam, it hits a wall, and the water can't go. You can think of that wall as someone's belief, because everything is energy. Even a thought has an energy to it. It's not nothing. It's not space. It doesn't take up, it takes up room. So that thought can actually block us from having healing, having transformation, having love, many things. And so that dam keeps the water from going. Another person comes and they're like, I surrender. I'm just so ready, The gates open, so the water comes through. The energy comes through and says, yes, we're going to, clean out whatever obstacles, whatever energies have formed to keep you from being healthy. And when this happens, the great thing is that then the body kicks in, your body, which is a self-healing, self-regulating master machine. Then the body kicks in and you begin to self-heal. So a healer is really like a catalyst for you to heal yourself. And that's the work of energy healing. That's what, it's really, I think, the cutting edge. I know science is starting to creep along there, but healing really is the greatest effect, I feel, of powerful intention, because we're really here to heal and to find love. And so that's where we're going. That's the cutting edge of consciousness right now, is the ultimate intention is healing, is reconciliation, is coming together and creating a healthier world for ourselves. And many brilliant people are doing studies about this. Our friend Lynn.
Oh, Lynn McTaggart. Yeah,
she's in your movie, and she's got a great new book.
Yeah, The Power of 8. And she started doing these healing circles with 8 people, because she said that was the number that seemed to work best. And Lynn's very interesting in that she says, I don't know how I come up with the 8s, but I do. So she's very intuitive, even though she pretends like she's not. But one of the things that they found in that I found the most interesting, because I heard her give a talk on it, was she said, well, we were monitoring the healing that happened remotely. We would heal that and ding. But the amazing thing we started noticing is the people in the healing circle actually got healed even more. Right. So it reminds me of the old line from Jesus, better to give than receive. Now that sounds like a moralistic statement, but it could actually be a metaphysical truth. And according to Lynn, it is a metaphysical truth, that it is more healing to give than to receive. And of course, in our world, the physical world, we think, if I give Betsy my car, now I don't have it. So It's not like I give Betsy a car and I get another one. But in the world, no, it's not. But in the world of energy, in the world of energy, in the world of intent, apparently it's not like that. Although we, of course, project those physical things on us, and so Betsy's not getting the car. I know.
How can you do that?
I know.
Just give her the car.
I'm a physicist.
Well, that brings me to a really important point. The ancient Kabbalists, in the Kabbalistic teaching, are really clear that if you want to change anything physical, like get a car for the car you gave, which is a really mundane example, so let's go to something deeper. If you want to end a war, you have to go into these alternative realities where the war started. It comes back to Plato's cave. Plato said, we're in a cave, and we're all looking at the wall of the cave at shadows, and we think that's life. When actually, it's outside. We have to look back there. Something's being projected. So we are really a projection of something else. This whole world is a hologram that is being projected from an intelligence. And this intelligence is in the process of creating itself. And along the way of creating itself, there are bumps along the way, and there is times when things come apart, like we talk about now, the age of surprise. But it's up to us. We can, with our intention, with our thought. Now, thought lives in this other reality, a frequency. Thought is faster. It's more cunning. It can move through walls. Whereas if I had a baseball bat, I'd have to knock the wall down. By the time you get to gross matter, it's dense. It doesn't move very easy. But when you're working with energy, it moves quickly. We can do incredible things. So by harnessing our superpower of our thoughts, we can actually get through that wall, touch another person's heart, heal that person, and in the process, everything in between gets healed. So that's my vision for the future.
You mentioned something about wars and going back into where it comes from. That reminded me, there was these studies, I just read about it last night, these studies where they called them the pink helmets, would go into war zones, and they would basically meditate peaceful thoughts.
Right.
Yeah. And there has been a number of studies, different groups have done this, and they've found that there really is a significant effect of people going into the war zones with the pink helmets and meditating on peace and ending the war on the hostility, and it basically shakes the jello, as you sometimes call it, and there is an effect. So that's an example of how intent really does affect things. And scientifically, you could say, well, how could that possibly work? Right. And my question then is, the physicists who are doing that is like, yeah, you tell me. It's working, so you got to figure it out.
It's kind of like the cells of the body. We know that we create new cells every 7 years, but we age. So why, when we create the new cells, why don't they stay new? Why do they create it and then, it's another 60-year-old cell? And that really, I feel, is a metaphor of how thought is. We see in this hologram that we're in, this intelligence beaming in through these alternate realities of consciousness. This is, you're 5'11" and you have silver hair and blue eyes and you're 70 and on and on. It's beaming that, not you. I was just joking. You're not 70. I'm so sorry. It was just an example. You're beaming in a form. So when you enter into a mystical state, theoretically, you're unifying with this divine, this intelligence. You can actually inform it. Let's now beam in another kind of thought. This is at a very deep, subtle energy frequency. It's a very refined frequency. But we are very refined with our own energy system from our body. It's so refined that I would have to say science can't measure our greatness yet, but it's coming. Thank you.